Okay, thank you so much, everybody, for being here. This is our Spring 2025 Benjamin A. Gilman International Scholarship Information Session. I think most of you are here today because you received an email letting you know that you are eligible to apply for the scholarship because you do receive the Pell Grant. So we're going to talk about all of that. My name is Lisa Munson. I am an Education Abroad Advisor here at New Mexico State University. I advise specifically on mostly our Spanish language and our Portuguese language programs, although I do have a couple others that I work on as well. I have a colleague, Bethany, who is our other advisor, and so you'll get to know both of us if you move forward with an Education Abroad program. So we are going to go ahead and get started. And like I said, we will be joined by Veronica Yanez from the NMSU Financial Aid Office later on in the presentation. So first, I am going to give a brief overview of education abroad because I realize that a lot of you might not necessarily know much about the programs that we offer. A fundamental requirement of the Gilman Scholarship is that you be applying to an education abroad program. This is not a scholarship for students who are staying here at NMSU and completing their classes for a semester. Rather, it is for students who want to go study abroad, continue their academics for a semester or a week or two or a summer internationally, and have that financial support to do so. We'll then get into more details about the scholarship. That's going to be the bulk of the presentation, what the scholarship is, how you're eligible for it, how you can apply. We'll talk about essay tips. Financial aid will speak a little bit on their side of the process, and then we'll get into our next steps, how you can get started with our office and with the Gilman application. So, education abroad. So this is what I'm passionate about, and I'm lucky to be able to advise you both on education abroad and the scholarship opportunities available. Study abroad is phenomenal for a lot of reasons. First and foremost, it is a way to earn academic credit internationally. There are a lot of international focused resources and programs on our campus, but not all of them offer academic credit. We are the only office where you can study abroad for a couple weeks, for a summer, for a full semester, and actually earn credit to do so. So you can further your degree abroad, take classes that you normally wouldn't have access to, and really just kind of dive into a whole new experience for your degree. It's also a great way for our students who are studying a foreign language. This is what I did. I was a Spanish major in college and I was actually required to study abroad. And so I went to Chile in Latin America to do so. It really kind of pushed my limits with my Spanish language skills. I was really able to kind of grow, develop those language skills, live with a host family for the full immersive experience. It's a phenomenal way to learn about a new culture and gain an international perspective. You're going to go abroad somewhere and learn what the language is like, what the food is like, different cultural traditions in that country. And it's also going to teach you a lot more about where you come from and how the world kind of understands where we are right now. It's also really nice and just getting out of your comfort zone, pushing yourself to do things that are hard and challenging, because just like studying here at NMSU for a semester has its own unique challenges, so does study abroad. So by doing this, you are going to really just embrace the process, challenge yourself, and have a totally transformative experience. It's also finally a really good way to develop those 21st century skills, networking, learning about different cultures, learning how to converse with people from different backgrounds. All of those can help you in your future careers, whether you're working here or internationally. So just briefly about our program offerings, we do have over 100 programs in over 35 countries, and this is changing all the time. I just had a meeting this morning about a really cool new program option in Italy that we're going to be adding. We spent the summer opening up offerings in countries like Estonia, all over the place. So there are always more options for our students, and we're in almost every continent. We also have a really wide variety of program types, lengths, and term options. So if you're thinking, I don't really want to study abroad for a full semester, I've got things to do here in Las Cruces at NMSU, I don't want to be gone that long, you can do a program as short as 1 week or 2 weeks. If you love studying abroad, you want to do it once or twice, you can. You can go for a full academic year and really just embrace that whole experience. We also offer programs all throughout the year. So if you know like a specific semester doesn't work with your commitments here, maybe you're on a sports team and you can't go at a certain time, we have programs that run all year round. So there are lots of options for you. I'd also like to point out here that Gilman will cover any type of program length. So if you want to do a 2 week faculty-led international program, those are some of our shortest offerings. You can win Gilman for that. And we've had students win the scholarship money to do a short-term program. So since we are a credit-bearing program, there are some basic eligibility requirements. First, you must be at least a sophomore in credits, which looks like 28 completed credits. So we do get a lot of students here who come to talk to us as freshmen. We presented all the orientations for freshmen, so we speak to a lot of students who are in their first year. So this generally looks like maybe the summer after your first year here if you have enough credits, but once you're in that second year of school, you should have the credits you need to go. We'll also make sure that you are at least 18 because you are signing contracts to study abroad, so you have to be able to legally sign those. We require at least a 2.5 minimum GPA, although some programs do have GPA requirements that are slightly higher, and we help you navigate that. And then we check with student conduct to make sure that you're in good disciplinary standing here at NMSU. So there's a lot more about education abroad. This session is not intended to be an overview of what we offer. We offer those sessions separately. We're happy to advise you on that. There's a lot of programs available, but I did just want to give you all a basic overview of what the requirements are on our end, because in order to do Gilman, you have to be doing education abroad as well. And we hope that you do because it's a really phenomenal experience. But now let's get into the meat of it. So what is the Gilman Scholarship? So the Gilman Scholarship is actually run by the U.S. Department of State. So this is not a scholarship that's in Scholar Dollar. This is not a scholarship just for NMSU students. This is a scholarship for students from across the country because it is run at a federal level. The goal of this scholarship is to really facilitate cultural exchange amongst our students as a means of promoting mutual understanding between people here in the US and people internationally. So the Department of State, the Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs, ECA, they understand that this flow of students coming to the US, students going abroad, that fosters understanding. It's a form of diplomacy and it really strengthens our relationships with people abroad. And you all have the opportunity to be a part of that. The scholarship is named after Benjamin A. Gilman, who really believed that study abroad is such a unique and special and impactful experience for everyone who participates in it. Really exposing yourself to that different environment abroad helps you learn different ways of thinking. It gives you really neat social and cultural experiences and helps you kind of understand just where you sit in this greater world that you might not have had exposure to before. So there are four main purposes of Gilman. The first is to financially support students who might have limited means to study or intern abroad, and that's why the scholarship is specifically focused on Pell students. There are other scholarships for students who do not necessarily receive the Pell Grant but still have some level of financial need, but this one is specifically just for our Pell recipients. The goal is to also diversify the student population. So Gilman puts a lot of emphasis on reaching students who maybe aren't part of the traditional study abroad type of students. So students who are going to different sorts of destinations, maybe students who are from different backgrounds and might not have access to these sorts of study abroad experiences otherwise. Gilman also wants to inspire more students to study or intern abroad. We'll get into your essay requirements in a little bit, but that's why one of the essay requirements is to propose a service project that is going to promote Gilman and promote study abroad in general once you get back and have had your experience internationally. And then finally, they want to contribute to the goal of mutual understanding. So when you're going abroad, you're sharing what it means for you to be an American and learning from the people in your host culture and building those relationships and bringing that back with you when you return to the US. So the fun part, Gilman may award you up to $5,000 if you win. This is a competitive scholarship, but our students have historically had a lot of success applying for it. The amount that you win varies. It depends on the cost of your program you're going on, your financial situation, where you're coming from. So we normally see students receive anywhere from like $3,000 to $5,000. And depending on the program that you choose, depending on the NMSU financial aid you might use on your program abroad, depending on your own personal finances, that can really help cover a significant chunk of your program expenses. You can apply the scholarship towards any type or duration of program, like I mentioned earlier. So if you're going on a faculty-led international program, great. If you're interning somewhere through our office, fantastic. If it's a full academic year program, great. Gilman will cover that as well. And then across the board for Gilman, generally 1 in 4 students are awarded a scholarship. We have had students who have worked on Gilman applications for a whole semester and gotten it. We've had students who have worked on it, applied, not gotten it, but then applied the next cycle and won. And we've had students that never talked to us. We never looked at their essays, never knew they were applying. They applied like the night before and they won $5,000. So it really just varies. It is worth putting in the effort to try to apply for it if you are planning on study abroad because it can help significantly. Now, this little spotlight here, we are still waiting on updated Gilman data. This is from 2019, 2020, so kind of pre-pandemic numbers, but you can see Gilman scholars were studying all over the world, and a good percentage of them were first-generation college students, and that is something that Gilman looks for and prioritizes. You are going to acquire job-related skills while you're studying abroad, and a really large chunk of Gilman scholars did study a language while they were there. And we'll talk about how that can work. So, in addition to the $5,000 available from the main Gilman Award, there are a couple of additional awards that you can apply for as part of your application. The first is CNLA, or the Critical Need Language Award, and this can give you up to $3,000 on top of whatever you win from the basic Gilman application. And this is for students who are specifically studying one of the languages on this list. Unfortunately, for all of my Spanish students that I advise, there are very few scholarships that will ever give you money for studying Spanish because we have so many people who are already studying it or already know how to speak it, so the government's not really incentivizing it. But we do offer programs for a lot of these languages. Just off the top of my head, we have Arabic, we have Japanese, Korean. I do some with our Portuguese. So if you are studying abroad and planning to focus on one of those languages, you do have to write an additional essay, and reviewers will look at that fourth essay, but you could win some additional money to help you do that. There's also a STEM supplemental award. This one, we don't have a lot of students who study abroad and actually do STEM research. So if that's you, you could be really competitive for this. This award prioritizes students who are planning on conducting STEM research abroad. It does include one additional essay, but it's a very short one, the shortest of all the essay lengths. And you could win up to $1,000 to help with your STEM related research, whether that's lab fees, phone fees, transportation to do the research. There are a lot of things there that that aid can cover. There are more benefits as well if you win the Gilman Scholarship, in addition to just, the money, which is probably the most helpful part in the moment when you're planning on your study abroad experience. But you also receive things like non-competitive eligibility. That is a status that you get if you are planning on entering the federal workforce. It will give you kind of priority in the application process, so your application will be considered. I think this is good for about a year once you enter the job market. It can be really hard to get into the federal workforce initially, and so this NCE, the non-competitive eligibility, will kind of give you a step up in that initial application process if that is a career path you're interested in pursuing. You will also get access to the Gilman Scholar Network. So Gilman scholars come from all over the country, they're going all over the world, and so you will have access to kind of this cohort to build those relationships, to communicate with other students who are doing the same things that you are. You can also work for the Alumni Ambassador Program, and that is an extension of the promotion of the Gilman Scholarship. You'll have the opportunity to travel and really talk about your experiences as a Gilman student. They offer seminars and career workshops. So we actually had a student, I think it was sometime last year, they were studying abroad and they ended up going to Rome for a weekend totally covered by the Gilman Scholarship because they were participating in like a research seminar or a workshop or something related to the scholarship with other students. So they got additional travel out of it. You're going to expand your career possibilities. You're going to meet people, you're going to network with people and really develop some crucial skills. So again, just like we have our requirements, Gilman have their requirements as well. And there are really three main ones we look at. So you do have to be a US citizen, you have to be an undergraduate student, and you have to be receiving the Pell Grant. So if you got that email from financial aid, they identified you as a Pell recipient and sent the email out to you. The other requirements are that you are either applying to or accepted for a study abroad program through our office. So as you work on the Gilman application, I know some of you might have already started an application, you're going to see a question that asks you to identify your study abroad advisor. That's because they will route your application to whichever advisor in our office you're working with, and we have to verify that you are one of our students that we know is planning to study abroad. You don't have to be done with our application process yet, but you do have to be actively working on it because we need to know who you are and that you're intending to go on this specific program. Gilman also requires that the country you go to have an overall travel advisory level 1 or 2. This is a travel advisory level from the Department of State. It is tied to safety, risk management. We will not allow you to go anywhere that is not a level 1 or 2, so that's not really a requirement that you have to worry about too much. Gilman also has preferences. So those are the basic requirements, but they also have specific preferences for their students. You don't have to match these criteria, but it will help strengthen your application if you do. First is for students who come from minority serving institutions, and lucky for all of you, you attend NMSU, which is a Hispanic serving institution, which falls under that MSI designation. So that already gives you a little bit of a leg up. They also give preference to students who are first generation, and they do prefer non-traditional locations. So like if you're a Spanish student and you want to go study Spanish somewhere, All things equal, if your application is Spain versus Latin America is going to be stronger because fewer students study there, and Gilman really wants to expand their reach. And then they also do focus on some underserved students. So students who are a bit outside of the normal group of students we see studying abroad, the regular students that make up those statistics. So most students who study abroad, although this is starting to shift a bit, are female. So they do want to see more men studying abroad. They want to see STEM majors studying abroad because sometimes STEM can be kind of tricky to find abroad. They give specific preference to students who are veterans or non-traditional students, all these categories you see here. So if you feel like that is something you identify with and you want to include that in your essays and talk about your experiences, that can definitely help support your application. So there is another scholarship tied to Gilman called the Gilman McCain Scholarship. I have not yet been able to find one of our students that qualifies for this. We've had a couple win, but no one that I've talked to yet. Gilman McCain is specifically for students who are dependents of active duty service members. So if your parent's a veteran, it doesn't work. If you are a veteran, it doesn't work. Your parents have to be, or your spouse have to be active duty in the military. Gilman McCain will award you a flat $5,000. So whereas the regular Gilman scholarship, you can get a range of funds, Gilman McCain is just $5,000 flat. And it is named after the late Senator John McCain for his international efforts. So here's the requirements, same as Gilman, but you do have to have that dependent status. You also drop the Pell requirement. So I know most of you, if not all of you, are here because you know you get Pell because financial aid told you you did. But if you somehow came in, you're not receiving Pell. If you get any type of Title IV federal financial aid and you have that dependent status, you are eligible to apply for Gilman. Sometimes there is a separate application for it, but for this upcoming cycle, you would just apply through the same portal that you're using for Gilman. And if you indicate that you meet the Gilman McCain requirements, they're going to route your application over there. So let's talk about the actual Gilman application because I know we do have some people here who really jumped on it, started your applications. That's awesome, but let's talk about like how to do it, how to write your essays, and what's involved with the process. So there's a really wide range of people who review your essays. Like I said, Gilman is a competitive application, and so they recruit people from across the country from all different higher ed fields to read essays. I've sat on review panels. I've read 60 applications from students across the country. My colleague Veronica from Financial Aid, who will be joining us in a little bit, she's also read essays. So just there, you've got education abroad, you've got financial aid, faculty members will do this, and academic advisors as well. So there's a really wide range of people who are going to be looking at the essays you submit. And there's a few different selection criteria that we focus on when we do this. We're trained by Gilman on how to review your essays. We're going to be concerned with how the program you've chosen and the destination you've chosen will impact your academics and career. So to be applying for Gilman, you have to have chosen a very specific program. You have to be applying with our office for a specific study abroad program. You can't write your essay saying, well, I might end up in South Korea, but maybe I'll go to Japan. I'm still deciding. You have to say, I am doing this intensive language program in Japan for reasons X, Y, and Z. You have to be very specific with it all and really make the connections about how the program's impactful for you. They're also going to look at how the program will impact your community, both abroad and when you come home. So how are you engaging with your local community, with the people that you're meeting internationally? Gilman wants to make sure as well that you're academically prepared for this. Gilman does not put a lot of weight on transcripts. So if you're coming in, you're like, I don't know, my grades are kind of so-so. I don't really know if I'm qualified. As long as you meet our minimum GPA requirement of a 2.5 or whatever requirement it is higher than that for your program, you're good to go. What Gilman wants to see is not necessarily that you're a straight A 4.0 student. They want to see that maybe if your grades took a hit the first couple of years, that you've improved them, or just that you can prove that you're ready for the challenges that might come with studying abroad. Like I said, just like studying here at NMSU can be challenging, studying abroad can be challenging as well. You're still taking classes or you're interning, you're doing research. And so they want to make sure that you're not going to get abroad and just be like, I didn't know I had to go to class. They want to make sure that you're prepared for what the experience looks like. Gilman also focuses on diversity of background and experiences. So what in your background and your experiences have prepared you to take on this experience abroad? And then if you are applying for the Critical Need Language Award, Gilman will make sure that you are committed to proficiency. So maybe you're prepping and like you're on Duolingo right now, or you're taking language classes to prepare. And then how will you continue to study that language when you return home? So here's the general application process. So Gilman is open now, so you are all eligible to start your applications whenever you're ready to go. You'll have at least 3 essays to write, maybe 4 if you're doing one of the supplemental awards. You do have to upload transcripts, and we'll talk more about what that looks like. You'll have a few pages where you're just inputting your program information. Where are you going? When is it? What's the name of the program? How long will you be there? All that information goes in, and then you'll select your advisors. So we'll get an email once your application is in, once it's ready to be certified. You have one deadline. The advisors, our deadline is a week after that to get in and certify your application. It's going to go to both your education abroad advisor, so either myself or Bethany, and then it will also route to Veronica, our financial aid advisor, because she needs to confirm A, that you received Pell, and B, that all of your math is correct about your financial aid and your cost of your program. After that, your application will be ready for review and it will be sent out to the review panels across the country to be considered. So right now we're working on the March 2025 cycle. There is another cycle in October 2025. Those dates do have some overlap with the March deadline. So if you're applying for a program right now, say spring 2026, we are accepting applications. I know it seems really far away, like it's impossible that we're already talking about it. You could apply for the March 2025 Gilman deadline. You'll find out in May whether or not you win. If you don't win, you can apply again in October because that cycle also includes spring 2026. But if you win in March, it's like, great, I know way ahead of time I got the money. So the application's open. Your deadline for your submission is March 6th, 2025 at midnight or just before midnight Pacific time. So you got to watch the times carefully. I will be holding walk-in hours the day of the submission in my office to help you if you're having issues submitting it, but we generally recommend don't wait until the last day because if your computer crashes, if their website crashes, there is zero flexibility with the deadline. We have one more week as advisors to go in, make sure all your information is correct and certify your application. Gilman will spend some time. They're going to first make sure you're eligible. They're going to make sure you meet all the criteria. And then it's going to be sent out to the selection panelists to make recommendations to the U.S. Department of State. And then come May 2025, you'll all be notified whether or not you won. I would like to point out here that for those of you who are planning on programs that are maybe this summer or next fall, your deadline with our office to apply for an education abroad program, those terms, is March 15th. So after March 15th, you are committed to that program, but you're not going to find out whether or not you won Gilman until May, which is maybe right before your program starts. So when you're looking at programs, when you're looking at budgets, you need to make sure you can afford it between your NMSU aid that you might have, your own personal finances, any other scholarships you know you've won, because by the time you're notified about winning Gilman in May, you're already financially committed to the program you've chosen. Now, if the program you've chosen is a bit further out, say spring 2026, our deadline for spring 2026 is not until mid-September of 2025, but you'd find out about Gilman in May. So you've got time. If you get Gilman, you can choose a program knowing you have that money to go ahead and move forward for that specific program. You can go ahead with your application and finish it up. You kind of have a bit more flexibility to make that decision. So here are all the components of your application. We talked about the program and the personal information. You're going to have 3 essays and we'll go into them one by one. The first is your statement of grant purpose. This is the most important essay. It is the longest one. And this is where you really get to introduce yourself to the reviewers and make the case for why you should be awarded this scholarship. We then have 2 community impact essays. The first one is building mutual understanding. That is making the case for how you're going to build relationships abroad and share your culture and learn from others. And then the follow-on service project, which is where you propose that service project to promote Gilman and study abroad. All of those essays have character limits, 7,000, then 3,000 and 3,000. Those do include spaces. So I always offer to students, if you want to send me your essays to review them, if you want to brainstorm together, I'm happy to do that. And one of the things I check is your spacing because I will tell you, as someone who has reviewed 60 applications of 3 essays each, they all kind of start to blend together. And the really, really long ones, you don't even want to start reading it. So it's really important to follow those requirements. If you do the supplemental essays, you'll have those as well, and then you'll have your transcripts to submit. And we'll talk about transcripts later. So first, your statement and grant purpose. The Gilman website has all of this information. That is your best resource as you're applying for this. And they have these questions you should ask yourself as you're writing your essay. So they want to know first, how will studying or interning abroad help you achieve your future academic and professional goals? So if you're an international business student, if any of you are here, you have to study abroad. So you'll definitely be working with us. Maybe you are choosing to go to Madrid, Spain, because Madrid is the financial capital of Spain. You have to study abroad for your major and you want to work in international finance after graduation. So make the case. Why Madrid? Why the specific university program you've chosen? How does that help contribute to your goals academically and professionally? Two, why did you select your specific program and host country? So South Korea is really popular right now. We've had a lot of students write essays saying, I'm excited about South Korea because of these academic reasons, but also during COVID, I sat around at home and watched a lot of K-pop or listened to a lot of K-pop and watched K-dramas, and now I want to go see it for myself. Make that case personally about why you've chosen that program and the country you're going to. And this is why I mentioned earlier, you need to be applying to a specific program with our office. You cannot go into Gilman saying, I'm not really sure where I want to go. I know I want to go to Spain, but I don't know the program. This is all tied to a specific program application that you have chosen. If something happens after you win Gilman and things change with your program, you can appeal to Gilman to kind of make some changes to your program and still receive your award, but that's always on a case-by-case basis. So you do need to be very specific about where you're applying. Gilman will want you to talk about how you're going to be academically prepared to be successful. So, are you already taking language classes for the language you're going to study? Have you had to juggle like a full-time job and going to classes? How have you been academically prepared to succeed abroad? And then what knowledge, skills, or experiences do you have to meet those challenges? So, one example I see a lot from students when I review essays is maybe they moved here to New Mexico sometime when they were growing up and they had to go through culture shock going to a new state. I know I've moved a lot throughout the United States the last few years, and it is a shock and an adjustment whenever you land somewhere new. That's something you're going to experience when you study abroad as well. So maybe that experience of moving, starting over at a new school, making new friends, learning a new culture, maybe that will help you as you go through those experiences abroad as well. The second essay, the first shorter one, is building mutual understanding. So, as a US citizen, because this is only open to US citizens, how are you going to represent what it means to you to be an American? There's not just one set definition of what that means. Every student comes with their own definition of what it means for them to be an American. So, how are you going to represent that abroad? How are you going to represent your culture and what it means to you? And how are you going to seek out cultural interaction? So, a lot of students will write essays and just say, America's a melting pot. I'm going to go abroad and talk to people. That is not enough because when you read 60 of these applications all in a row, everyone's saying more or less that same exact thing. So you really have to get specific here. So ask yourself, what does being an American mean to you? What culture are you coming from when you go to study abroad? And what culture are you walking into once you're there? So we are a Hispanic serving institution. I've talked to a lot of students who are maybe like Mexican American in their heritage. And so they'll talk really specifically about what that means for them. They're like, I am not just going to Spain because I send a lot of students to Spain. I'm not just going to Spain as a student from like Las Cruces, New Mexico. I'm coming from as a student with like this Mexican culture and this Mexican background as well. And so what does it mean to me to go there and share that background and kind of go to Spain and continue like speaking my language there and learning how that language is different. I've sent students before who maybe they're going to Italy because way back in their family came from Italy and they want to reconnect with their family roots there. That's really important and that's a significant part of their background that they want to share with the Gilman panels. If you're going to be living with a host family abroad, go talk to your host mom, cook a meal with her from your culture. Make enchiladas. Some students bring like dried chili when they go so they can share that New Mexico culture. And then have your host mom teach you how to make a dish from her culture, from her family. If you are a student athlete and maybe you're on the tennis team here at NMSU, join the tennis club abroad and kind of use that experience to share your background, your culture, your experiences, and learn as well from the people you're meeting on that team abroad. Last but not least is the follow-on service project. So just because this is the last essay and one of the shorter ones does not mean it is any less important. Gilman wants you to pull off a service project when you're back to promote both study abroad and the Gilman Scholarship. So you can say, hey, I studied abroad. This scholarship helped me do it. You should do it as well. And so the service project proposal makes sure that you have a plan about how you're going to do this because Gilman wants to make sure that you are actually going to pull off that project. So they want to know first, what is it? How is it going to increase awareness? And what community are you focusing on? So we've had students say, I came from XYZ high school. I really want to go back to my high school, go work with a teacher that I love there, and talk to their class about study abroad. That's how I first learned about study abroad. It was my Spanish teacher in high school who pulled out her scrapbook from her time in Spain and talked to us about it. So go do something like that. Maybe student athletes again. Maybe you're going to say, I studied abroad as a student athlete. You might think that that's really hard to do because of your training schedule. So I'm going to go back to my teammates and give them a presentation about what I did and how I did it. So it's really helpful if it's a community that you come from that you're going back to. They also want to know how are you going to integrate the impact of your experience because this is a transformative, impactful experience you're going to have. So how are you going to make that part of your proposal? And then specifically, who are you collaborating with to make this happen? So if you say, I'm going to do something through the Education Abroad office, tell us ahead of time you're going to do it because it's very hard for us when you come back and you're like, hey, I'm ready to do my project and we don't know anything about it. So if you can tell Gilman you've already talked to people, you have a plan to roll this out, that makes your application much stronger. Well, I'm sorry. It looks like my slides rewound there. Here we go. And these are just some examples from the Gilman website about different follow-on service project ideas. If you're really into social media, maybe you are doing like a social media presentation while you're abroad and sharing your photos and your experiences. Maybe you're going to a classroom here at NMSU to talk to like a certain language class about the language studies you did abroad. There are so many examples that you can do. So transcripts. Please, please, please do not spend money right now to get your official transcripts from NMSU for your application. You can go ahead and just use your unofficial transcripts that you can access through NMSU. If you are selected as a Gilman winner, then you do have to provide the official ones. But do not spend the money right now when you don't know whether or not you're going to win. We don't want you to spend the money and then ultimately not win the scholarship and be out that money in the end. Your transcript from NMSU, it can be unofficial. It must include the completed term before you're applying for Gilman. So fall 2024 and your in progress term. So showing what you're taking right now. And then if you're coming here as a transfer student, you must also include your transfer university transcripts. So these are the certifying advisors. So we have a couple of them. Like I said, my name is Lisa. I do mostly Spanish and Portuguese speaking, but a few others as well. There's a student teaching program we do abroad in Belize and Thailand, and I handle that one. And then my lovely colleague Bethany, she manages everything that I do not, including Africa, Asia, Australia, semester at sea. If you want to go to school on a cruise ship, you can do that. So when you are submitting your application, you will see both of us as options for certifying that application. So make sure you're choosing the correct advisor. There are a few advisors for our office in there, but we're the only two who should be certifying your applications. And then we also have our financial aid advisor. Only one should pop up for that. That is Veronica, who will hopefully be joining us shortly to talk about financial aid. She will come in and she'll certify your application as well and make sure you're getting that aid. So we do have a writing center on campus that you can use. You can schedule appointments online. You can upload your essays and have them reviewed remotely. This is a really good opportunity for students. Gilman tells us as advisors and reviewers, don't focus on grammar, don't focus on spelling. That was my mistake the first time I started reviewing essays. I was like, bad sentence structure, typos here, reword this. That's not what Gilman is focused on because they understand that students are coming from all different backgrounds. Some universities don't have writing centers or advisors to review your work. They're not getting caught up in the nitty-gritty of your writing. But the Writing Center is there to help you polish it up. They can help you figure out the structure of your essays and kind of workshop that with you. So some overview of our best tips for applicants. These are things I've gathered from a workshop I attended with other Gilman advisors from reviewing hundreds of essays as well. Do have your essay proofread. It helps just to kind of catch some of the ideas if you're repetitive in some spaces. If you're not actually answering questions that Gilman is asking, we'll look for that as well. Work with your advisors. Please let us know that you're planning on applying. We can help you. I'm happy to review your essays if you give me enough advance notice. Obviously, there are a lot of you here today, and we're hoping that as many of you as possible apply for a study abroad and apply for Gilman, but please make sure to give me enough time to actually review your essays. On Crimson Connection right now, we do have a couple of events for writing workshops where I will just be there in a room in the Corbett Center upstairs. You can join me. I can review your essays on the spot. We can brainstorm, just kind of do some drop-in advising there. We do recommend working with the Writing Center as well. And then be creative. Um, we read so many essays to like back to back to review them. And they all start to blend together after a while. So what you can do to really kind of stand out and elevate your application, the better. We really encourage you to share about yourself because all of the essays, a lot of them say the same thing. So if you can really be like, this is who I am, this is where I come from, I'm going to come up with unique ideas for my service project or how I'm going to share my culture while I'm abroad, that's really good. I also recommend being cohesive. So a lot of students, there's three essays and there's separate distinct essays, but they also make up one application package that represents you. So be cohesive. If you can kind of talk about the same sort of ideas in all three essays, it's like I know I keep going back to like the student athlete example, but it's a good one to use for this. So maybe in your first essay, you're like, I am a student athlete, I'm studying physical therapy, so I'm going abroad on this program for kinesiology to study that, to do that abroad. Maybe in essay two, then, for your mutual understanding, you are going to join a local gym while you're abroad or play on a local sports club and kind of make relationships through that experience. And then your service project, you're going to come back and you are going to talk about, um, like, talk to student athletes about the experiences you had through that opportunity. Then finally, we recommend starting early. So the application is open now. The deadline's March 6th. So start now. Come talk to us if you haven't already, because you do have to be in with our office to get started. But then start on your essay, start brainstorming them. If you think, the October cycle also works for the program time I'm looking at, apply for that one if you don't win in the March cycle. The earlier you apply, the better for strengthening your application. And it will give us time to help you because we're busy right now with a lot of students. So we want as much time to really support you. So specifically for your essays, we want to help you create a compelling story. So especially for your statement of purpose, you need to connect your past, your present, and the future to highlight how this scholarship and how studying abroad is really going to be impactful for you. Be yourself, tell your story, let the reviewers get to know you to the extent that you're comfortable because we want to picture our students being abroad. When I've reviewed my students' essays, I have learned so much more about them and why they want to go abroad than they've ever shared with me during our advising appointments. And it's really lovely to kind of get to see that side and the motivations for why you want to go where you're going. So really just be yourself, be personal, and share those experiences. For your follow-on service project, think about how you heard about Gilman. Obviously, for a lot of you, it's probably this financial aid email, but maybe you've also talked to other students in your classes who studied abroad with this scholarship. Think about how you can also go back and share those experiences with other people. And just know if you don't apply, you'll never get it. I told that story earlier of the student who applied super last minute, just off the cuff, submitted everything, and won $5,000. Obviously, that is probably a real standout example, but the story remains the same. If you don't apply, you have no chance of winning it. So it is worth putting together as strong of an application as you can and just trying. We are a top producing institution, so our students historically have done really well with being Gilman applicants and awardees. We've had over 150 recipients over the past 20 years, and that's something we're really proud of. We do our best to support you with with your applications, to help you write strong essays, to help you brainstorm how you can best apply. And so it's really important to us to kind of help you do that and support you however we can. So one slide that I don't have in here, but I do always talk to my students about it when I talk about scholarships is artificial intelligence. So obviously AI is everywhere now. I just set up my new iPhone yesterday and Apple has like its own AI built into the phone now. It's everywhere. It is okay to use it to kind of help yourself brainstorm, help yourself get started. Use Grammarly to like check your spelling and your grammar and your writing. But what you should not do is go plug the prompts from Gilman into ChatGPT, let it spit out an essay for you and submit that. As reviewers, we're trained on how to recognize AI and the use of it. We're trained to kind of look for it and flag it. A lot of scholarships like Gilman are still kind of figuring out how to respond to AI because it is still relatively new, even though it's growing so fast. But the bottom line across all the reviewing is always that it's best to not just spit out essays that AI produces because they're going to be incorrect. They are not going to reflect you. And that is what we are most concerned about when we talk about the Gilman Scholarship. So I'm still waiting on our financial aid representative to join us. I'm going to give her a couple more minutes. So in the meantime, I'm just going to fast forward here to your next steps if you do want to get involved with study abroad. So I pointed out our advisors before. I'll show you how to schedule appointments with us. We are able to meet in person. We're able to meet on Zoom as well. Generally, if you kind of know where you want to go, it's best to choose the advisor that advises for that region because that's what we're experts in. I can kind of get you through some information about programs in Australia or New Zealand that Bethany advises on if she's out of the office, but I don't know the ins and outs of it like she does, and vice versa. We have walk-in Wednesdays, so every Wednesday from 1 to 4 p.m. Our office is located in Educational Services Center, Room 6, so we are here and available to meet with you, chat about your program opportunities just on the spot if you don't want to make an appointment. Today, we are expecting to be quite busy with students, so if you can, maybe wait a week, look at your schedule, see what works, that's great. But it is going to be pretty busy today with a lot of students, but we're always happy to meet with you. Our office is right across from financial aid. We're one of the interior offices in the Educational Services Center, which is across from the Pan American Center. So this is how you can schedule an appointment on our website. I'm going to put our website in the chat so all of you can access it, but it is also, let's see here, everyone in meeting. There we go. It is also on this QR code right here, so you can join on the QR code, but you can schedule an appointment right up here. You can also use our program search to start looking for programs. So if you know you want to study abroad and you know you want to do Gilman, fantastic. If you know where you want to go, even better. If you don't, though, take a look at the program search, see what we offer, see if any of them jump out at you. You can filter by your area of study, you can kind of filter by where you want to go, and you can find some good options. So these are our contact information for Education Abroad, Financial Aid, and then the Writing Center. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have any questions. We are all here to help you however we can. I'm going to give Veronica just another couple minutes to join us. But right now, before we get to the financial aid piece, are there any questions? You can either unmute yourself or put them in the chat if you'd like. The political state of the US and the relation between other countries, is there any news about any of that? That's a really good question. I know that there's been a lot of information. Yeah, if the blocking of financial aid or federal help is passed, will that affect the scholarship? I wish I had the answers to this. I know kind of with the news yesterday about the blocking of federal aids and grants. Financial aid did come out later and say that that wasn't going to impact things like the Pell Grant, and it was frozen by a judge for the time being. It's also new that we don't know right now. We've been told in the past that the Gilman Scholarship and grants like this have not really changed administration to administration, so we're hopeful that it's going to continue. Yes, if something like the Gilman Scholarship is blocked, it would affect those availability. We're hoping that as we get closer to the deadline, we would have more clarity. So I do encourage you to apply and to work on it regardless. In terms of the relationships between the US and other countries, we're not going to send you anywhere that is unsafe in terms of the location. So we are going to check that. And study abroad is actually a really interesting way to see this. So I've studied abroad when I went, it was 2015. So it was the ramp up to the 2016 election. And it was a really interesting time to be abroad because people were asking me in Chile, like, we're hearing about elections and things like that. And like, what do you think about it coming from this country? You are a representative of the US and maybe the only exposure that the people you're meeting abroad have to where you're coming from. So it is a really unique way to kind of engage with people that you meet abroad, share where you're from, and kind of let them know about where you're coming from. So our lovely financial aid representative, Veronica, has joined us. I will get back to all of your questions after her piece, but I'm going to turn it over to Veronica so she can share a bit about the ins and outs of financial aid for all of you. All right, Veronica, you have the floor. I'll do your slides for you.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everyone. Kind of just running around this morning. Sorry, I'm a little late. So my information is quite simple, and I'm sure Lisa covered a lot of what I'm going to say. But if you have questions, of course, you can ask me. If you want to ask me at another time or meet with me, you're welcome to do so. I am located in the Educational Services Building, right alongside Lisa, Education Abroad. And so you can come by, or we can meet on Zoom or through email, calls, what works best for you regarding your financial aid, and then how Gilman will affect your financial aid. So just a reminder, the 25-26 FAFSA is already available at studentaid.gov, and it will depend on the program when you're receiving Pell Grant as to what I'm reporting to Gilman. So how you determine if you have Pell Grant, I know years before with the FAFSA would tell you right away that you would be eligible for Pell Grant, but it seems that with this new application, that's not readily available to everyone. So if you have questions on when you submitted the FAFSA, and maybe we can review your application further, because we haven't brought in any 25-26 FAFSAs as of yet. And so when we have them, or we can look into what is FAFSA processing system, we can tell what your SAI or what used to be EFC to determine if you will be Pell Grant eligible for that year. Of course, the 24-25 already closed in June, but that is the application we are working for towards the summer if you plan to attend in the summer. So that's the application we'll be using to award you for summer programs. And so you'll need to be eligible for Pell 24-25. That's what I'll be reporting. Also, the 25-26 Scholar Dollar application is available for 25-26. And so you can stack your scholarships. If you're receiving institutional scholarships, if you're receiving state scholarships, you can also receive department scholarships and use those towards your program. The only amounts that you'll be reporting to Gilman is gift aid. So that would be only grants and scholarships, no loans. Even if you're accepting loans, you still wouldn't include those amounts. And just as a reminder, tuition discounts if you're not a New Mexico resident and receive a discount such as the 135-mile waiver or the Arizona-Colorado reciprocal, those do not apply for study abroad programs. And then work study is not available for any study abroad programs, whether they be international or national study abroad programs. So this is basically what I receive from Gilman. It shows me a list of students who have submitted their Gilman application, not necessarily completed them, because I will get a subsequent email saying, hey, they've submitted their application, please review and submit by the deadline. My deadline is a week after yours, which Lisa might have mentioned already, but students still reach out to me and remind me that I need to certify their application as they've already submitted their application. So I'll still email back and let you know when I've submitted the application or certified it.
I just want to jump in here briefly because we did have a question in the chat about what if you are getting the Pell Grant at the time of application, but not when you're studying abroad. And Veronica, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe here you either have to be getting it while you're submitting your application or during your term abroad. So if things change, but you had Pell when you were applying, that should still be okay. Is that correct, Veronica?
So yeah, in the next slide, it'll ask me, are you sorry, this is where I certify the applicants. This is where I can look at all the applications. But here is where it asks me, is the student currently receiving Pell Grant? And then will the student be receiving Pell Grant while they are abroad? And if you were receiving Pell Grant for 24-25, but for some reason you're not eligible for 25-26, then I would make a note. There is a place where I can make a note that yes, you received Pell Grant in 24-25, but you are no longer eligible for 25-26 for whatever reasons. Maybe you ran out of time or you have too many credits, what have you. Then I would report that information, and it's really up to Gilman if they wish to proceed with your application and award you.
And then Veronica, we had one question I was trying to tackle before you got here, and it was about the suggested freeze on federal grants and spending that came out yesterday was ultimately blocked, but there was a question about what happens if there is blocking of financial aid or federal help. I believe the language from the financial aid office yesterday was that Pell would not be affected by those proposed changes. Is that correct? I know it's pretty soon to know anything, but
We're really just going with what we're being told. No real answers just for now that it's blocked, but going forward, I couldn't tell you if that's going to change. And everything changes with financial aid every year. But we're very hopeful that we can continue awarding Pell Grant and dispersing loans. Um, but yeah, we're still working as if that didn't even come out at all.
thank you, Veronica. I see a lot of questions about education abroad in the chat that I can get to, but does anyone have any questions about financial aid while we have Veronica here? You can either put them in the chat real quick or unmute yourself. I do see one. Is there an application fee? There is an education abroad application fee with our office of $350. There is not an application fee for Gilman. Let's see, we answered that one.